14.1 Angles formed by intersecting lines. Sample problems. Before we begin, let's focus on vocabulary. Vertical angles, the pair of opposite angles formed by intersecting lines. These angles are congruent. For example, angle 1 and angle 2 would be considered vertical angles because those are a pair of opposite angles formed by intersecting lines. Angle 1 and angle 2 would be congruent, which means that angle 1 and angle 2 would have exactly the same measure. Linear pairs, a pair of adjacent angles formed when two lines intersect. The two angles of a linear pair are supplementary, which means the sum of their measures is 180. For example, 3 and 4 are adjacent because they are right next to each other. These two angles form a line. The two angles, 3 and 4, would be considered a linear pair, and therefore they are supplementary, which would mean that if you take the measurement of angle 3 and you add it to the measurement of angle 4, the two measures together would add up to be 180. Complementary angles. Two angles whose measures have a sum of 90. For example, if my first angle here measures 40 degrees, then my second angle would have to measure 50 degrees in order for these two angles to be complementary, because 40 plus 50 equals 90 degrees, making these two angles complementary. These two angles do not need to be next to each other in order to be complementary, the same way that two angles do not need to be next to each other in order to be supplementary. But if they are next to each other, then they would form a right angle right here. Now let's try some problems from your homework assignment. Of course, I will not be doing every problem, but I can do a few sample problems just to get you started. Let's start with number 1, letter A. According to the diagram up above, the measurement of angle AFB is equal to the measurement of angle EFD, and both of those angles are equal to 50 degrees. Points B, F, D, and points E, F, C are collinear. Collinear means points that lie on the same line. Therefore, B, F, and D are on the same line, and E, F, and C are on the same line. Determine whether each pair of angles is a pair of vertical angles, a linear pair of angles, or neither. Select the correct answer for each lettered part. Now let's remember, vertical angles are directly across from each other, and linear pairs should be next to each other. Vertical angles are congruent, and linear pairs are supplementary, which means that they add up to be 180. And neither, of course, would be that they are neither vertical nor linear pair. Let's start with number A, or letter A. Angle BFC and angle DFE. Now, those are directly across from each other. Those would be considered a pair of vertical angles. Let's try letter C. BFC and CFD. Now those are right next to each other. And BFC with CFD are actually forming a line where B, F, and D are collinear. Here is the line I am talking about in orange. Since BFC and CFD form a line together, they are considered a linear pair, which would mean that they would add up to be 180 degrees. Now let's practice a problem where you actually have to find a measurement. Let's practice number 3. On number 3, they're asking you to find the measurement of angle DFC. Now, we actually know the measurement of angle BFC because BFC is vertical to EFD. Now, because BFC and CFD are supplementary, I can add them together and set them equal to 180. Next, I need to substitute the measurement of BFC, which is 50. Last, if I subtract 50 from both sides, then I will find out that the measurement of angle DFC is equal to 130. Let's try some true and false. Determine whether each statement is true or false. If false, you must explain why. Now remember, you only have to explain why if your answer is false. If your answer is true, there is no need for explanation. Let's try number 6. If an angle is acute, then the measure of its complement must be greater than the measure of its supplement. Now, in this type of a problem, it actually helps if we invent a number. So, an acute angle is any angle between 0 and 90 degrees. Now, I'm just going to choose a number, a simple number to work with. So, let's choose 30. This angle is acute. Now, remember that the word complement means that the angle I'm going to add with 30 have to add up to be 90 degrees. The only number that adds up to be 90 degrees with 30 would be 60. So, these two angles are complementary. This one is our angle, and this one is our complement. Now, let's talk about the angle that is its supplement. So if our angle is 30, we need to find the supplement. Remember that supplements add up to be 180. So if my angle is 30, my supplement must add up to be 180, which would be 150. This would be the supplement. By putting in numbers, it makes it a lot easier for you to see if this answer would be true or false. Let's read the statement again. If an angle is acute, which is 30, then the measure of its complement, which is 60, has to be greater than the measure of the supplement. Now, if that were true, then 60 would be greater than 150. And 60 is not 60 is actually less than 150, which would make the statement false. Now, remember, if your answer was false, then you needed to explain why. Well, the reason for this would be that the complement will always be less than the supplement. Let's try number 10. You can represent the measures of an angle and its complement as x and 90 minus x. So x is the original angle and 90 minus x is the complement. Similarly, you can represent the measures of an angle and its supplement as x, where x is the angle and 180 minus x is the supplement. Use these expressions to find the measures of the angles described. The measure of an angle, which the measure of an angle would be x, is means equals 3 times, which means I need to multiply by 3 times something, the measure of its supplement. Now, let's go back and look at the top. 90 minus x is the complement. And 180 minus x is the supplement. Now, I need a supplement, so 180 minus x. I don't see any need to solve. They just wanted you to set up an equation. Now, if you did solve, you would just distribute the 3 and then solve for x. Let's work on proofs. We'll work on number 13. Write a plan for a proof for each theorem. Now remember, with proofs, you need to have a plan ahead of time. So, in this problem, if two angles are congruent, which means they have the same measure, then their complements are congruent. So, they gave me the information that angle A is congruent to angle DEF. And I need to prove that the complement of angle ABC is congruent to the complement of angle DEF. It is important to build a plan. So, I know that the complement of angle ABC is going to be 90 minus the measurement of angle ABC. The complement of angle DEF is going to be 90 minus the measurement of angle DEF. Now, since the measurement of angle ABC and the measurement of angle DEF are congruent, these angles are congruent, which would make the measures equal, I can always exchange the measurement of angle ABC for the measurement of angle DEF, which would make both complements congruent to each other. So the complements will be congruent by substituting. Now remember, they didn't actually want you to build a proof. All they wanted was a plan. So there is your plan. Let's work together on number 17. Communicate mathematical ideas. Now, these are higher order thinking skills. These are your challenge problems. They focus on higher order thinking. Number 17 wants you to communicate mathematical ideas. They want you to write a proof of the vertical angles theorem in paragraph proof form. Now, it is important to build yourself a plan. And you must also remember that since you are trying to prove the vertical angles theorem, you will not be allowed to use this theorem during your proof. So this theorem will not be allowed. Okay, let's look at what was given to us. We know that angle 2 and angle 4 are vertical angles, which would mean that they are congruent. So angle 2 is going to be congruent to angle 4. Now at this point, I'm just building my plan. Since the two angles are congruent, I know their measures are equal just in case I need it. I am trying to prove that angle 2 is actually congruent to angle 4. So I know they are congruent, but I need to prove why they are congruent. So a good thing for you to do is to use linear pairs in this situation. And I would like to find one other angle that will be used for both as a linear pair. Now I could choose 1 with 4 and also 1 with 2. That way 1 is with both. Or I could choose 3. 3 with 4 is also a linear pair and 3 with 2 is also a linear pair. But you need to make sure you only stick to 1. So I'm going to stick to angle 1. So the measurement of angle 1 plus the measurement of angle 4 is equal to 180. I also know now these are linear pair. That's the reason why. Okay? And the measurement of angle 1 plus the measurement of angle 2 is equal to 180 degrees. So that's also a linear pair. Okay? Now we want to use the transitive property because 180, you see here, 180 can cancel out, and I could end up setting these two equations, these two expressions equal to each other. So that is the plan, because when I do set those two equal to each other, the measurement of angle 1 will cancel on both sides, leaving me with the measurement of angle 2 being equal to the measurement of angle 4. Since the two measurements are equal, I know this is called the definition of congruent angles. So I will be using that in order to prove that the two angles are congruent. So now I'm ready to build my proof in paragraph form. Okay, so let's start with our first sentence. It is given that angle 2 and angle 4 are vertical angles. Angle 1 and angle 4 are a linear pair as are angle 1 and angle 2. Since linear pairs are supplementary, the measurement of angle 1 plus the measurement of angle 4 is equal to 180. And the measurement of angle 1 plus the measurement of angle 2 is also equal to 180. The measurement of angle 1 plus the measurement of angle 2 is going to be equal to the measurement of angle 1 plus the measurement of angle 4 by the transitive property. Transitive property is something new here. So let me talk to you about that before we move on. The transitive property says if A is equal to B and C is equal to B, then A is equal to C. Now we see this because of the 180. I have measurement of angle 1 plus the measurement of angle 4 is equal to 180. And also the measurement of angle 1 plus the measurement of angle 2 is also equal to 180. So if you look above, we canceled the 180s. In this problem, and the one I just showed you up here, the B's would cancel. The B's would end up canceling, leaving you with A and C, which is the same thing I did with the 180s in orange. Let's continue. I set the equations equal to each other. Since I have, now go into pink for this, okay? Since the measurement of angle 1, or purple, excuse me, and the measurement of angle 1 are on both sides of the equation, I can actually cancel those out, leaving me with the measurement of angle 2 is equal to the measurement of angle 4. Subtraction property. That would be the subtraction property. By the subtraction property. And I only have one left, okay, which would be that angle 2 is congruent to angle 4 by the definition, abbreviate definition of congruent angles. Congruent angles. And there you go. That's how you do a paragraph proof. Now, you can see why this is a higher order thinking skill. Okay? And doing these proofs helps you for future lessons. I will help you work through this performance test. The image shows the angles formed by a pair of scissors. When the scissors are close, the measurement of angle 1 is equal to 0. That is because the scissor handles are close together and there is no actual degree there for the angle. As the scissors are opened, the measure of all the angles changes in relation to each other. Describe how the measures change as the measurement of angle 1 increases from 0 to 180. So we're going to start with our scissors being at 0. And as we're opening, the furthest it can go is 180. Now, the measurement of angle 1 and the measurement of angle 3 are always the same. Why would that be? Because these angles, angle 1 and angle 3, are vertical. So they are always going to be equal to each other. Now, the measurement of angle 4 and the measurement of angle 2 will also always be the same. Also because they are vertical. Angle 4 and angle 2 are vertical. So, when angle 1 is equal to 0, when the measurement of angle 1 is equal to 0, angle 4 will, the measurement of angle 4 will equal 180. Okay? So that means the measurement of angle 1 is equal to the measurement of angle 3, and those will be 0. And while that's happening, the measurement of angle 3, the measurement of angle 4 is going to equal to the measurement of angle 2, which will be equal to 180. Now, vice versa, would happen when vice versa means the opposite would happen. So when the measurement of angle 1 is equal to the measurement of angle 3, when they equal 180, then, so if this is happening, then the measurement of angle 4 will equal the measurement of angle 2, but they're going to be at 0 because they'll be together. And last, when the measurement of angle 1 is equal to the measurement of angle 2, which will equal the measurement of angle 3, and will equal the measurement of angle 4, they will all be 90, and that's when they're perpendicular. I hope this helped.